welcome to Brat Life. My name's Angel. Thank you guys so much for listening. It has been so cool to see all the growth on this channel lately and just to have so much feedback of people who are now discovering this, oddly because I was racing at TKO. That was so cool to have so much support. And then when people found out who I was, they were like, oh my God, I got to listen to your podcast. So it's really cool to see all these downloads happening. We added more countries. So we're at 29 countries now. And I just think it's so awesome to see. This week's episode is with American Hard Enduro expert, Drew Kirby. So he is half of the podcast, I guess, host panel, I guess you would call it. But he and Will do this podcast. They've been doing it for a long time. It's actually one of my favorites to listen to. They're really great about doing interviews with people right after the races, talking about what happened, and they ride hard enduro themselves. So it was awesome to get Drew to sit down and just talk all things hard enduro, from insurance all the way up to his personal experience. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode, and I'll see you next week.
So we're good.
Well, it's close enough.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining me, especially so quickly after TKO. I appreciate it. I'm super stoked. I'm like kind of fangirling a little bit because I've been listening to you for a while. So it's really cool to have you come on to Brap Life.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to meet you. I've listened to a couple of the podcasts. I think I listened to the Tobin one and after Romaniacs, and maybe one with his dad through Romaniacs, just to kind of hear how it was going. It was cool to see an update from all that good stuff. And you're wearing his shirt, I just noticed.
Yeah. Got a rep. He's such a good kid. And it's really cool because I was actually just telling his dad this morning. When I first heard of them last year, it was just Tobin and Matt last year when I first met him. And I was told about like this whole Miller thing, like this Miller style of riding, which is just kind of like wild and crazy. And, you know, I don't know if you remember, there's like a video of Tucker falling last year onto Nick Feringer's bike.
Oh, yeah.
And that was what the Millers were. And then this year they came in and they're just like hitting it hard. You know, Tobin has done all this extra racing, went over to Romania. He's just been excelling. And it's so cool because now, like being at TKO, all these little kids are like, I want to ride like that. And I'm like, riding like a Miller is something completely different now. So It's cool to see that progression in a year.
Well, it's funny because Tobin and I were battling several years ago, and then he got better than me. And then all of a sudden there's this another Miller, and I called him Little Tobin because I didn't know his name for the longest time. I was Little Tobin, and he was riding like a Miller. He would pass me going 100 miles an hour, crash, find him on the side of the trail. I'm like, come on, Tucker, let's go. Then he chased me down again. And so we've been neck and neck at the end of last year and then some of the races this year. And I'm like, I think at the end of last year, I'm like, do you guys have any other little siblings? Like, we got a 16-year-old sister. I was like, oh, great. So there's one more Miller I'm gonna have to deal with coming up.
Yeah,
so
and she's family. A beast on a bike too, from what I've heard.
Don't tell me that. I don't need that.
We'll have her come chase you next year.
Yes, exactly. I'm getting older, and she'll be getting better. I'm getting older, so
I was trying to get them to get her to come to TKO this year, but she's doing like an internship on the other side of the country. So she's got to do work stuff this year. But next year you might have Kina there kicking butt. So
I'll just another Miller. So it's ironic because my number's 228 and Tucker's number this year was 229. So we're right there together, number wise and race wise.
Yep. I love it. Yeah. They're crazy, but I mean, they've put in a lot of work, and it's really awesome to see these kids. I mean, the Brady camps are the same way. Those kids are skyrocketing in their abilities, and it's amazing to see. Just in general, anyone in the youth class has just been insanely amazing. I've watched Graham Kobach, and he's just a beast on the bike. Like, he came out west this year. I watched him, race all that stuff. And it's a big change going from east to west. And he still did really good. So it was awesome.
No, there's so many. I wish this would have been around, the tires, the bikes, the setup, when I didn't start riding until like my 30s. But like, if I would have started riding at a young age, I wish this all would have been available.
Yeah.
So many good young riders now.
What got you into riding?
Oh gosh, growing up, my mom was a nurse. I was never allowed to have dirt bikes. And so, of course, what do you want when you're not allowed to have something? So we had Jeeps. We built like 4-wheel drive off-road Jeeps. My dad and I did. And then, so I played in the woods a lot with that. And then when I was like 12, we moved to the lake. And I just got obsessed with water sports. And so did competitive wakeboarding kind of through high school and college. And then blew my knee out real bad when I was like 25, 26. And so wakeboarding is obviously pretty hard on the knees. And who would have thought you get hurt less riding a dirt bike than you do wakeboarding? And so my mom's rule was if I ever wanted a motorcycle, I had to be out of the house and paying my own health insurance. So obviously in my mid-20s, kind of got into dirt bikes a little bit, got a trials bike, started riding just wood stuff with some friends. And then I blew my knee out. I was still kind of doing that when I was wakeboarding, and then blew my knee out, sold all the bikes, and just kind of gave up on dirt bikes for a while I was healing. And then I actually got married. And then I think my son was like 6 months old and ended up getting a dirt bike. And then slowly started riding a little more, and then started doing national enduros like in my early 30s. So I've done like 2 hair scrambles in my life, and then a decent amount of national enduros.
Okay. And then how did you get into hard enduro?
Oh, so the other half of American Hard Enduro, Will Preston, he's actually started it. So we'll get there eventually, I'm sure. But we were riding a lot together. We went to college together, and then snowboarded, wakeboarded. And then he grew up racing dirt bikes with his dad. And so they were the ones who got me into national enduros, and we've been riding some. And here in Knoxville, we've got Windrock, and a couple of the guys that cut trails, a guy named Devin Ferguson, had done TKO. He's done every single TKO from the first one till now. He's done all 15. And so one year he's like, you guys have to come do TKO. And we're like, we don't want any part of that. That looks stupid. It's awful. And so I think it was 2013 or 2014. On a whim, we both said, let's go. Let's sign up. So showed up. Will was on a 150. I was on a 250. We were on KTM 150. I was on a KTM 250. Knobby tires, tubes, 13 pounds of air in the tire. And that year we went uphill swamp. And I just remember it was like the hardest thing I've ever done. We both made it to Sunday, our first try, and got our you-know-what kicked on Sunday. We'd never seen anything like a lot of these trails. And, we're just dead after Sunday. Well, Monday morning rolls around and we call each other. We're like, we've got to make harder trails because that was awesome. And so that 2013, 2014, I can't remember which one, was the first year we did it. And it was like, all right, this is what we want to do. And we've got great terrain around here in Tennessee for it. So, I mean, we're 2 hours away from Charles Training Center. And so that was it. We were hooked. And that's what I tell people. Once you kind of get that bug. And so I still did national enduros for another 3 or 4 years. And then still did TKO. And then as more and more hard enduros came up, started doing them. But that was it. That first TKO is what got us hooked.
That's really cool. I've seen some of the stuff on Windrock. I actually avoided Windrock when I lived in Tennessee because of all the gnarly stuff that I saw. John Kroll invited me out to one of your guys' rides, and I was like, I don't think that's a good idea.
We had some, like, we've done some AHE ride days, and it's hard because, like, you obviously want to include as many people as you can, but then you get really high level people, mid-level people, and we had some newbies, and then we had some like John Krolls and some like top A guys. And so it's hard to accommodate, make everyone, give everyone what they want. Like the property where we do it, some people couldn't get out of the back of the property, and some people that was the one. So like with anything, like with any hard enduro, you've got a varying range of people.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really, really lucky in that, like, I have somehow managed to ride with a lot of A and pro riders. Like most of the people I ride with are at that level. And it's kind of insane, but they're really good about finding spots for us that have like just enough for me to struggle on and learn. But then they can go split off and they can do like their lines. Like this last weekend before TKO, I was out with my buddy Cody, and he's beast on a bike, and him and his buddies are just like doing these insane hill climbs and stuff. And I'm just like struggling to get out there. And it was just kind of like what you said. He's like, let's not do this. we'll stay away from this area because I don't know if you can make it. He's like, we'll just go to this other area, which is really fun. And he's really, really good about finding stuff that we can all do at different levels. But I'm not out there every single weekend, like I'm out there like once a month or something like that. So they still can get their training in, they still have fun, but then I'm still included. I get to see the stuff that they do, the insanity. Oh my God. They did like this switchback loop that I guess Tristan and Will created out there. I don't know if it was last year or the year before when they were training for KOM. And like there's this like 15-foot drop, and I was like, you're gonna do that? Like that's insane because you drop into rocks essentially. I was like, no.
Well,
so it's scary to see some of that.
Well, and it's wild to ride with those top guys and see. And that's the biggest, I think the biggest disgrace of our sport is 90% of the people can't see what those dudes are capable of. Like TKO does a great job, like Red Bull Ravine, you can see some of it, but like honestly, free riding with the top guys, like my new motto is if I think I can do it, it's not hard enough for them. Like if I think it's possible for me to somehow get up something, it's not hard enough for them. So like making trail or cutting lines, like I have to pretty much think it's impossible, and then they can probably do it. So it is wild getting to ride with them for sure.
So one of the first people I ever rode with was Graham Jarvis, and like what a person to have. Like I had maybe 10 hours on my bike. So I went out on this trail ride, and just seeing the stuff that this guy hits, like it's nothing. We were at this spot in Maine, and they were like, oh yeah, no one's ever been able to go down this hill, let alone come back up it. And I watched this man wheelie up it, and I was like, this is insane. But I think that was both really cool because it showed me what is possible on a dirt bike. But also I was so new that I started to see things from kind of that lens. I've been told multiple times that I pick really hard lines when we're on the trail. And I'm like, what do you mean? I think it's the easy line, but it's easy in comparison to what I've seen those guys do. Yeah. So to a normal person, a B or a C rider, it's a hard line. I'm not saying I do it well, because I do not. But those are the lines that I pick. And that's probably why I get myself in trouble so much, because I'm like, oh yeah, this is the way I should be going. But I see stuff all the time, and I'm like, oh yeah, they could totally do that. And some of the stuff that they do is even outside of what I would imagine they could do. But it's incredible. But sometimes like my one buddy would be like, do you think I should do it? Do you want me to do it? And I'm like, go do it. Yes, do it. Like, I'm the worst person to ask that question. I will tell you to do it.
Well, like in the early days of Battle of the Goats, I think we did the second one, and there was like certain sections that had never been ridden. And we're like, is it possible? And Tyler, the guy who does Battle of the Goats, he goes, I could make it about halfway, so I figured you boys could figure it out. And we're like, okay. And, that was kind of his litmus test. All right, if I get about halfway, they'll get the rest of the way. So, it is, I can only imagine. I've never put on a race. I've helped with some, but trying to make stuff that challenges them that the rest of us can ride is hard. And, that's why the knockout format's nice in that regard.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot more work, I think, to do stuff like splits. Like, it's really cool when you have splits like that. I personally do like the knockout because I was able to then go see my friends ride. And I like that. It's great from a spectator perspective. But I don't know. I like all of the formats. Like, I don't put it on, so it's great for me to just watch. But I think that it's really interesting to look at our events and kind of see what the spectators are like here versus going overseas. When I was at Erzberg, I mean, to be fair, it's Erzberg. It's Red Bull event. It's been going on for a really long time. But the people and the energy there, like Red Bull TKO is the tiny version of that. I think we had, what do we have, like 500 plus riders at TKO this year? And Erzberg starts with like 1,500 and cuts down to 500. But then there's like I don't know, it's like a festival, I guess, but
Oh,
it's almost starting to feel like that at TKO, because like I was there last year and that was the world round, right? So like there was a little bit more spectators. I wasn't really sure how it was going to be this year because it wasn't a world round, but there was still a decent amount of spectators. I feel like
yeah.
more than an average like hard enduro, at least the ones
Yeah.
that I've been to.
No,
So
100%. And TKO traditionally does draw a lot more people. And I don't know if it's the area or if it's the history and how long it's been going on. But, you know,
yeah.
something about Erzberg is, number one, how long it's been going on. And number two,
Mhm.
that's the only place you can ride in Austria. And it's never open until Erzberg. And so
Yeah.
I think there's such a hunger over there for getting out and getting to ride your dirt bike there. So everyone who's got a bike says, hey, let me give it a shot. Like you said, that 1500 that does the prologue, and all these other crazies come out to watch it. So, you know, in America, we're very fortunate that we have tons of places to ride and a lot of expansive landscape. Where over there, I think that's kind of something else that favors them and really gets them going. But it is on my list for sure.
I think that's a really good point. I didn't think about it like that before, where they really don't have a lot of places to ride, because I did talk to Manny about it a little bit, about they don't have many places to ride at all. And that was one of the things my friend was looking at, moving out to Spain. Spain actually has a decent amount to ride, but it's pretty much like just Spain, and then like a couple other places like Portugal, I think, has some spots, and like, but it's all so removed. And I mean, every state here, as far as I know, has at least some rideable stuff, whether it's a park or a public land, whatever it is. There's something in every single state.
And most of our
the only one I don't know about is Delaware. So I've never ridden in Delaware. I don't know about Delaware. I don't know anyone who lives there. So, but like even New Jersey, like Jersey, I always thought was like a really like kind of a state that has a lot of cities and you wouldn't find a whole lot of riding, but apparently people ride there, and apparently there's decent riding. So
and there's a crazy strong the ECA hair scramble series up there. They do like 40 hair scrambles a year in Jersey, and because Jarrett Moan's from Pennsylvania, and it's that whole Northeast. I mean, that's where a lot of like Ben Kelly, Josh Toth, that's where they come from. And you know, they can ride the rock. So
yes,
but there's a huge dirt bike community up there for sure.
Yeah, it's really cool. When I was in Maine, I was kind of lonely. I found literally 2 other dirt bikers the whole time I was there. New Hampshire had a lot of people, Connecticut, Massachusetts, all the places around me did, but I didn't connect with anybody really. I found one couple on the trail and that was it.
We ran into someone at TKO from Maine. And
really?
Yeah, and they had Graham Jarvis up there, so it might have been when you were there.
That was probably somebody from our clinic.
I was walking either the Pro Hot Lap, I think it was the Friday Prologue. I was walking, and we got to talking to these guys, and it was like 2 younger guys and a girl, and they were from Maine. It was the first time coming down to TKO. It was funny you said that, because I was like, I've heard this story, but they were super nice. My mom's from Maine. She grew up outside of Portland, and so we go up there on vacation, and haven't been up there since 2020. But look, my kids are dying to go back. A beautiful place.
I was in Scarborough, so I know exactly where that is.
Where's Scarborough at? I have no idea.
Next to Portland.
Okay, so
we were like 12
way?
Miles from Portland, like southwest. Sorry, yeah,
Did you ever go to
southwest.
Sebago Lake area?
So I actually ran from Sebago to the ocean. That was my. It is 28.7 miles.
Okay. So Sebago Lake is where my mom grew up, and they've still got a place up there too. So it's awesome. Beautiful. For anyone who's never been to like those lakes, it's a glacier lake. You can see like a penny, like 35 feet deep. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it is amazing.
It's frozen.
Don't go in the winter. I didn't get to explore as much as I wanted to while I was there. I was like so just getting into like riding this bike, and I was just like so focused on it that I was like in Hollis a lot, trying to do drills, trying to like find areas to ride, just getting comfortable on the bike, because I knew I wanted to do hard enduro, and I was like, I need to just get comfortable, like just being on the bike, figuring out my balance. I always say I started at square -20. Like I wasn't even at 0. Like I'm probably at like 0 or 1 now, after all the work that I've put in, because I had no balance before and I was just falling over all the time. But I still fall a lot, don't get me wrong, but it's a lot less than it was. Yeah. I remember I always said the boop is my signature move. So basically I'm standing there, or like I'm starting to come to a stop and I just can't put my foot down and I just go boop and just fall right over. Like I very rarely crash at high speeds. It's usually when I'm stopping.
So well, and I've got, like I said, my one knee's still pretty bad. So if I start to fall to my left and my foot needs to go down and hold it, chances are the bike's going down. I'll just throw the bike down and step off of it. So it's, luckily we have
I'm really good at that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm great at stepping off the bike. I don't want to be caught under it. So I'd rather, it's funny, I was talking to James Flynn about this and he was like talking about how when he crashes, he holds on to the bike for dear life because he wants to do everything he can to save the bike. I was like, dude, I'm the opposite. Mm-hmm. Like I can fix the bike. I can't fix me as easily. Like
that's 100% true. But those dudes, like, he'll fight that thing. He'll wrestle it like a bull to get it where he needs it. So I've seen that more than once.
Yeah. And he was like, well, I'm also on my parents' insurance still. So I was like, oh yeah, that helps too.
Yeah, that does help.
But so going back to, you had just said something about you would love to do Erzberg. Are there any other races in the world that you would want to do?
Oh, so
if you had the funding.
Oh yeah, no, it's well, so my wife has basically said before I get to go overseas and race dirt bike, she gets to go to, like a Mediterranean cruise because we've still not done any traveling over there ourselves. So I told her this year. So backing up, Erzberg was always like the pinnacle. Even before US Hard Enduro series and all this stuff, we all watched Erzberg on Red Bull TV and I wanted to do it. Like, it was like, I'm going to go do it. And then the more I watched it, the more all the back guys just sat in bottlenecks for hours and hours. And everyone was like, dude, forget that. You need to go do Romaniacs because you get 4 days of riding in the hills. I was like, okay, that makes a little more sense. And then the more we talked to someone, they were like, you need to go do Sea to Sky. Take your wife because, you're staying in an all-inclusive resort. It's on the beach. There's the beach race and all that. So I think from the only way I could pull it off is Sea to Sky in Turkey. And then we would make a vacation out or a holiday out of it, as they like to say.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they call it the most enjoyable hard enduro. And I think a lot of people think that it's a really good time as far as like the course. And I'm like, dude, it is a brutal race. They call it the most enjoyable because of the whole resort and being on the beach and everything. It's a great experience, so I'm told. But it is not easy.
Well, and seeing some of it's like the canyons they're in before they climb up to the mountain where they've made some like wood bridges. Like some of those rocks look like the TKO limestone rocks that you touch them, you're going down. So I don't have any desire. And my wife's biggest fear is me getting hurt in another country and needing medical attention. So that's obviously another reason. So honestly, now I think I would instead of racing overseas, I think it'd probably be more fun to go ride, go do a Romaniacs tour or, maybe go to Erzberg early and do some of the tours that they do, like when all the guys go pre-ride the course pretty much. Go do that. And then I told Leah, my wife, I said, I told her jokingly, I'm going to Erzberg this year with Ryder as his man friend because I don't want to go as a normal person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think I listened to some of your stories of getting to the mountain and hiking and I'm like, no, when Ryder went the first time, they had a pass that got him in the back way to miss all the traffic because he's a factory rider. I'm like, that's the way I'm going to do it. So
to be fair, okay, when I got there, I just didn't know, like I could have gotten a ride in and I didn't know that. So like it is very well planned out if you actually figure out what the heck you're doing. But because I was so discombobulated with everything, I was trying to plan stuff with Radford and I was trying to figure out I needed to meet them, and they were obviously, you know, he's out doing his stuff that he needed to do, and then I was trying to get a hold of his girlfriend, and then she didn't have service, and so I was just like, whatever, I am not going to miss this, because I had gotten in earlier than I thought. So I was there. I was like, the prologue starts in like 10 minutes. I'm not waiting. Like, I'm just going to go. So I didn't want to miss it. And I got up there right as Tristan was going out. So that was cool. I got to see that. I got to see him. I got to see Will. I got to see everybody I wanted to. So.
Oh, that was good. Well, and I think so. All the boys, we did the Keystone Challenge in Pennsylvania, and then they were literally leaving that night to catch like a red eye or catch a flight. And I was joking with Ryder, and he was like, so Gage Key was supposed to go with him. And I think his passport didn't come through or something. So Ryder's like, I got an extra ticket. We leave right now. You want to go? And I'm like, wife, kids, job, life. Probably can't.
That sucks.
Yeah. So it would have been fun. But so I think so the last 2 years I've been to Arizona for the page race. Jim Flynn's had me out there to help do some announcing stuff. And I think this year, if Silver Kings is a world round like it was this past year, I'd like to go out and just see that. And, you know, again, if you're racing, you're taking things back to your original question, when you're taking things so seriously and diet and trying to eat right and not really enjoy it, and you're serious. Whereas, you know, if you go to spectate, you could do some riding, have some fun. And I think that's how I'd like to do it if I'm going to go overseas and do something like that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm little excuse me. I'm nervous about Romaniacs. It's going to be a lot. I have a lot to train for before that. I'm doing Atom class, but it's still in the Carpathians. It's still a lot of up, a lot of down, a lot of crazy. But I kind of have been thinking about it. I'm like, I kind of want to go early, and I have a job. I work a full-time job. I work overtime quite a bit to be able to afford to do the things that I do. I do the podcast. I do a lot of stuff. I have a real life, but I'm going to try and take like 2.5 weeks and go early and do the touristy thing and ride a little bit out there before all of the racing starts. Because I feel like that's just giving myself the best chance, but also giving myself the best experience, because I was in Austria for all of 3.5 days. I did not get to experience very much outside of Erzberg. And I got immersed into the culture because I got lost. I took the wrong train. And I went to a completely different city that I wasn't supposed to go to. So I had to figure out like how to get back when I don't know how to read the language or speak it.
Oh gosh, that can be challenging.
Oh, it was very scary. It was like a movie. I got to this train station and I was like, oh, this is not where I was supposed to go. Because I was supposed to go back the way that I had came. And I was like, this is not the same place. And then I looked and I was like, oh, there's like one word that's like a little bit different, but it's spelled very similarly. And when I was in a rush, I got on the wrong train. So this is probably 10 o'clock at night. There's nobody, like, as far as attendance on the platform. You just have to figure it out and go. There's nobody to ask. And all of a sudden, these two guys come up on the platform, and they're not dressed what I would consider nice. It was a little scary moment. And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm in another country. Like, I've just been to the coolest race ever. I don't even care right now. So I just walked up to those dudes, and I was like, hey, do you guys speak English? I need help figuring out how to get out of here. I could have gotten kidnapped so fast, but everybody over there is super nice. That was about the most I got to enjoy the actual culture, was trying to get home with those guys.
Well, and that's what, so to Romaniacs, I talked to Josh Shecker quite a bit, and he would go over there. He would go a month early and do course work. Like several years ago, before they started doing US Hard Enduro stuff. And he was just talking about the history and the crazy stuff that you would see. And so it's like, okay, you know, I think it'd be worth it to go see that. So,
when I was on the train going through Austria, you know, we're passing all these little towns, and I'm like 100% tourist, like glued to the window, just like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like, it's so majestic looking, and all these little houses were going by. I'm like, I wonder what the history is behind all these little towns, you know, but I was trying to Google it, but then I'm like, I also don't really know where I am. My GPS wasn't really keeping up very
I
well.
was gonna say, could you throw in Google Maps, where the hell am I, and then look up the town?
I was trying to, but then by the time I would figure it out, we're at the next little town. I'm like, this one's even cooler looking, like trying to keep up with it. And yeah, I'm just a nerd. So, I just wanted to learn everything. But next year, I don't know that I'll go to Erzberg again next year. I might wait a year or two, because if I'm going to Romania, because it's going to be pretty expensive. And I would like to get to Sea to Sky as well one of these years, because that just looks absolutely epic.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I have a hard time going and not racing, but like if I know somebody there, like with the US Hard Enduro guys, when I'd hurt my shoulder, I would come to some of the races and they'd be like, hey, here's a worker pass, go help out. If you see problems, help it. So like I got to ride around, do some stuff. So if I could get on the backside or the back end and help out, it'd be okay. But I can't just go sit around. I'd go crazy.
Yeah.
I need a bike and some access, and now I can have fun.
Yeah, that was my one thing, is I was used to getting credentials out here to be media and to be like on the course and everything. So going over there, I was like, I'm like a nobody here. So like, and I didn't apply for credentials because I was trying to just go and just enjoy myself and not feel like I had to work. But I ended up like helping as much as I could, and anywhere I could, and networking. And so I
got thrown off the course at TKO this past weekend, and it was funny because we were right behind the green cabins, and it was a Saturday morning race, which you were racing, and so you go up the creek behind the green cabins or the office, you do the U-turn, you come back, then you had to go up that big hillside. You could go up the hill or around the easy way. Well, Owen was up there filming Endurotainment. For anyone, he puts out some pretty hilarious stuff. And so I was just in American Hard Enduro shirt, Camelback, just straight track walking. Well, I walk under there, and two of the course workers and Owen, someone had gotten up on the ledge, and it was two people, and a bike was about to come flying off. They'd hit each other, and they were like right on the edge. So the crew guys were like, hey, will you just hang out here? Tell them, hey, hard, easy. So I'm just hanging out, and one of the other crew people comes. She goes, sir, you're going to have to get off the course. And I'm like, well, they asked me to help. And she goes, you have to get off the course. I'm like, I didn't say anything. Like, hey, I just walked off and said, yes, ma'am, I'm sorry. And then I just left. So, but, it was just weird. I didn't, obviously we didn't know who each other were. So I just kind of, I was like, all right, see you. I'm good. But it was quite funny.
Yeah, it's funny. I've actually started carrying like a high vis vest in my car when I go to events because of stuff like that. Like I've been pulled multiple times. Hey, can you help with this? Hey, can you help with that? And they don't always have time to give me a vest. So I can just grab it from my car, throw it on. And then at least I'm visible enough, for people to know, like I sort of know what I'm doing.
You look official. That's what I tell my kids all the time. Hey, just look like you know what you're doing and you belong, and you'll be fine.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I'm the kind of person, even when I have a vest, like, even when I'm doing media, I know that it's dangerous. I know that it's scary sometimes. Like, you can see media people getting hit or almost getting hit, So I'm very cautious of that. And I don't want to be the reason that, we lose a race because, I'm the person that got hit or whatever. I was in a really sketchy spot for some of my pictures that I did at Grinding Stone, and Josh Shecker had come by and he's like, Angel, can you like move? Cause I don't really love you in that position. And I was like, okay. And I moved like 5 feet and he's like, yeah, you're good there. And thank God he did, because it was one bike that somebody sent, and it would have hit me had I stayed in that spot. And there was nowhere for me to go. It was like a ledge. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah.
So I try and always give myself somewhere to at least step back. If my leg gets run over, my leg gets run over. But the rest of me, I would like to not be hit. So
they've
like
been really. Go ahead.
A lot of considerations is all I was gonna say.
Yep.
Just to make sure that I'm doing the best that I can to make sure that the race can keep going, that I'm not the reason that insurance is going to come down on anybody, because we've all heard the stories of how crazy it was this year for insurance.
Well, and another behind the scenes thing, I was talking to one of the promoters, and insurance companies, they looked at all their claims from last year, and they said, we're getting 0 claims from riders. All our claims are coming from spectators. So what do we do? Get rid of spectators or make them all try to be 25 feet back. So that was one thing that a lot of people don't understand. It's not the riders. It's not you who, the inherent risk when you're out there spectating, taking pictures. It's the people who show up, get hit with a rock, and then sue. It's unfortunate, but what do you do? And we can go round and around, but I was at a GNCC here in Tennessee, and we've just been going through all this with the roar, not having spectators, all the uproar from that. I'm at a GNCC. There's kids in the middle of the course, like pointing people what to do. Like me and my son, it was the Wild West. There was no consideration for keeping people 20 feet off the course. I mean, it was everywhere. So I don't know if they've just got better lawyers, better insurance, or don't give a what.
I think it was to the interpretation. I think that, so if you go back, the AMA rules have kind of always been there. It's just the interpretation and the enforcement. So I think that they just got a little bit more strict on enforcing, and kind of social media is both a good and bad thing in that way. It can be fantastic to share stuff, but then at the same time, there's a lot of videos from different races where you see people on the course. Like in the middle of it, there was a race that I was at that people were sitting down, and there's bikes flying. And I'm like, dude, that is not the place to sit. Like, first of all, you're in the middle of the course. Like, you've been told, I heard you were told not to be there, and you just stayed sitting there drinking a beer. Like, come on. Like, they almost got hit.
This past weekend, TKO 2, we were up above, I think it's called Motorex Highway. It was the Kinder Rock Garden, and now it's Motorex Highway. I walked up the middle of the course, and we were waiting on Manny to get there. He was going to be the first one there. And there was a middle line and a right line. And the right line literally puts you against the banner. And Louise Forsley was standing there, and two other ladies. And I said something to Louise. I was like, hey, I know you're aware of this, but this, you might get hit. She walked on somewhere else. She's like, oh yeah, I'm aware. The lady who was standing next to her, Manny, ran over her, like hit her with a bike and knocked her out of the way because
he didn't hit her. He didn't hit her.
He bumped her. So
she was next to me.
Okay, yeah, you were there.
It was my friend.
Okay.
So she was stepping back because they were pulling back they pulled back the tape. And so that way he would have space, and she was stepping back and she slid. So he didn't actually touch her with his bike, but she slid, and it looked like she was under his bike, but she wasn't actually under it. But from the other angle, I saw an angle of somebody getting her, and it looked like he ran her over, but she didn't get touched by him. It was very close. But she didn't. But I was like, "Are you good?"
Yeah, because we were up above on a rock, and like from where we looked, she slipped about the time he got there. So that's probably whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I was just like, and we all of us, because everybody who was along that tape, we all took a step back, because at that point we didn't know what the line was going to be, and now we knew that was a line, so we had assumed everyone was going to take the middle. So I mean, but that's part of it. You have to just be ready to move, not sitting there drinking a beer. And
one year in that exact spot during the main event, when they went up that down at the bottom, right where the gravel road is, we were all packed in there. And there was a guy, and I don't remember who it was. He was trying to get up one of the ledges, revved it up, dumped the clutch, and here comes a rock. And I did the true manly thing and went like this. Well, my wife was standing right next to me, and it hit the guy beside her, hit his shoulder, and then hit her in the face. Ooh. And so luckily it didn't it didn't do any damage, and her lip didn't, or her tooth didn't come through her lip, but still it was like, I saw it coming, and instinctively, it wasn't like I was like, hey, let me get out of this so I can hit my wife. It's just, here comes a rock, move, dummy.
You didn't use her as a shield?
No, I didn't. Well, I mean, I guess, I could have shielded her, but no, I leaned over. So it can happen in a heartbeat.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, as media, I've had rocks come flying at me. I actually cracked the screen on my phone at Battle of the Goats because I was shooting down, and somebody from behind me kicked a rock out, and it came and it hit my phone. It was a pretty big size rock, shattered the whole screen on my phone. But that's part of it. And I was aware. I have a lot of hair, so when it's in a ponytail, it protects the back of my head. So I was like, I'm safe. but I mean, I got pelted with multiple rocks, like little ones, nothing crazy. But that's part of it. You have to be
Yeah.
aware when you're around that
Yeah.
stuff, and you have to make sure that you have a spot to go to if your spot is compromised, and it has to be an immediate thing. And it's funny that you had mentioned my friend, because multiple people along that area fell.
Mhm.
I watched probably 10
Oh.
more people do the exact same thing. It just wasn't in front of Manny, so
Yeah.
it wasn't all
Didn't
on
get
camera.
recorded.
Yeah. A couple of them did. But yeah, it was crazy though, like how slippery that section is. And that's something that I usually really, really focus on when I'm on the side or trying to be somewhere, even on course, is just making sure I have somewhere to jump to. Because those bikes can go flying in a second,
Oh, yeah.
and you have very, very little time to react, or a huge rock, like you said.
Yep.
And it can be scary when it's coming straight for your face.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
So when I was at Grinding Stone, we kind of had, and I don't know if it's a full US hard enduro rule, but they had told us that if we're in a spot that has a lot of gravel and stuff like that, where they could be kicking up rocks, that as media, we were supposed to be wearing our helmets. So that way, just another preventative measure. So, as credentialed media, I was doing that out there, and at Moab, I think it was the same thing. So
I haven't heard that one before.
Yeah, and maybe it was just on the West Coast because there's so many more rocks. But yeah, I was in a kind of a weird area for Moab at first. There was a lot of little rocks, and I was like, I don't like this spot. So because I had my nice camera, and I was like, if this thing gets shattered, I'm not going to be very happy. So I moved to a different area, kind of on a slab, and it was a little bit better, but less bikes getting thrown, less rocks getting thrown. So so in the US series, you stay mainly East Coast. I've seen you West Coast, but that was more for announcing and stuff. Are there any West Coast races that you would want to do, like, again, if it was fully funded?
Silver Kings for sure. I've been wanting to. So I turned 40 back during COVID in 2020, and part of my 40th birthday was a boys' trip out west. So, but again, I didn't want to just go to like Gold Creek Lodge and rent bikes and do like the normal stuff. Like if you come to Windrock and rode the normal stuff, you'd be on Jeep trails all day. So I wanted like the real experience. I want to go like Keith Curtis has got stuff in Pipestone, Montana that looks amazing, but it's you got to know Keith Curtis to go there. Or so the more I've gotten to know Josh Schecker and some of the guys that live in Coeur d'Alene, it looks awesome, that terrain. So I think I was going to go do Silver Kings and help Josh couple years ago, but he was like, dude, after the race it shuts down, you can't ride on it. So I'm like, well, I don't really want to do that, because I wanted to stay a couple days, because that's what I did this year in Arizona, is I stayed 2 days after the race and rode. So probably Silver Kings looks the coolest out of all. I don't have any desire to go to the desert. I've been to Page. I have no desire. Like it's one of the few places when I came home, everyone was like, did you want to ride it? And I was like, 0% did I want to ride the main event course. Some of that stuff, like you said, I'm short. I'm not as short as you, but I tend to fall over a lot. And you fall off some of those the wrong way, you're done. And so it was completely role reversal, because in Tennessee, all the rocks are super slick. We don't have traction. So out there, you want to be on the rocks because they have the traction. So don't really want to do that race. So probably Silver Kings would be the one I'd want to do. Like I said, King of the Motos, the desert, going fast. After seeing some of Taylor Roberts' crashes and injuries, I'm good. I have enough trouble like looking at where I'm going. I don't need to be reading a GPS while trying to go. But yeah, I guess a long story short, Silver Kings would be the one, I think.
That's the one. Yeah. I think that's the one that would probably be best. Like we talked about transitioning from east to west. It's a big transition if you're not used to it. Like you said, the grip is different, but then like out here in Arizona and parts of Southern California, not all of the rocks are trustworthy as far as grip. So like in my area, it's a lot of decomposing granite. So some of the rocks you hit and they literally fall apart under your wheel. And
that would be deceiving.
It's very scary.
Yeah.
So I was all jazzed because there's a super cool hill climb, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And I finally worked up the courage to try it, and I didn't know there was a bunch of decomposed granite on it, and so I hit one of the like little ledges, and it exploded, and like it threw me off. And thankfully, I didn't fall, but I was like, oh my god, that's a scary experience with how steep it is at my skill level, and I was by myself. So I was like, if I had gone down, it could have been rough. So, but yeah, just and learning to ride like marbles essentially, because there's little rocks on top of the big rocks most of the time. So it is a little different. You've got to learn to like navigate that. But I mean, at your skill level, it's not going to be as hard for you because I mean, you have skill, right? So you're just like, oh, okay, like next time I see that kind of rock, like I don't need to do that. For me, I was still brand new when I came out here. Like I had, I think 60 hours on the bike, and then I came out here. So most of my riding was all East Coast. And so I was like, what am I doing right now? Like, what is this? I'm falling over like crazy. There's no dirt out here. It's all rocks or
That's
sand.
what I would struggle with because, we aim for dirt. You want to find the dirt. You want to get away from the rocks around here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here specifically in my area, you don't want to be on the dirt because the dirt is really slick out here, especially if there's any kind of rain. It turns into ice. And so I learned that very quickly my very first time out, because everywhere else, if it rains, you get hero dirt and you're like, yes, this is awesome. No, out here, I hate when it rains because it makes everything terrible. The rocks you slide right off of, I mean, I still go out because it's great training. I was like, this is just like it's what it's going to be like in Tennessee. So
yeah,
this is the closest I could get. But yeah, it's hard to transition from one side to the other, but I think Silver Kings is more like Tennessee, more like what you're used to riding.
Some of the creeks sections that I saw videos of looked similar. I mean, similar-ish. They had some, roughly the same stuff, but it'd be fun. And again, I'm in my 40s, a wife and 2 kids, so I can't jump in the van and go spend 3 weeks touring around the West Coast, unfortunately. But like you said, if money was no object, let's go.
Yep. Yeah, when we all win the lottery, we've got these huge plans. When I win the lottery, I'm getting a house here on the West Coast, one on the East Coast, and then I'm spending my summers in Iceland because it is way too hot out here. And I'm just going to have a fleet of bikes. All my friends can come and ride with me. That's my lottery spending.
Well, and honestly, we got lucky at TKO because up until the week before TKO, we'd been 29 days straight above 90 degrees here in Tennessee. And so the rider and some of the guys came in town like that Saturday before TKO, and it was in the like 70s and low 80s the week. And then by the time the weekend rolled around, I think we were like mid 80s. So it wasn't as bad as it could have been.
Yeah, and I think last year it was like that too. Last year it kind of got a little bit cooler after being really hot. It wasn't like cool by any means, but it was better.
Well, the humidity is still there for sure.
Yes. And that was, I think, what got me this year is I haven't had any kind of humidity out here. I mean, we have hardly any moisture. So going from 5% humidity to like 90%, was pretty rough, but I think that just having enough water was the biggest thing. I drink a lot more water than I thought I do when it's that humid. So I was like taking little baby sips, but apparently it goes really fast when you do that.
It's crazy because we have people come ride with us, and we'll do anywhere from 2.5 to 4.5 hour rides, and they'll be out of water like an hour and a half in. Like, oh, they brought 2 liters of water. I'm like, dude. Like, you got a 3-liter Camelback, fill that thing up, And I've gotten to the point where, depending on how the ride's going and my water consumption, I've got a bite valve that I can turn off. And so I'll turn it off because I've got a bad habit about, as I'm sitting there waiting on somebody, I'll just keep kind of sipping, just out of almost a habit. So I'll turn the bite valve off. That way, if I get it, I'm like, okay, dummy, like save this for later. Nothing worse than running out of water.
Yeah, I did that on a ride out here. I mean, we didn't mean to be out that long, but we were out for over 12 hours, and all 3 of us ran out of water. And it was like we had I want to say it was like 10 miles left to get to the halfway point. But the halfway point was a restaurant, so we knew we were going to be able to fill up our water. But in 100+ degrees, which again, it was only supposed to take a few hours. We went out at like 6:30 in the morning, and we were supposed to be back in a few hours before the heat of the day set in, but that is not what happened. And by the time we got back to the car, the sun had already set. We were doing like these wash, like basically those creek bed sections, pretty much almost in the dark. We had very little light, and I was dead. I was like, you guys, I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't have the skill set for this. I barely made it through like all of these little hard enduro sections, like on the way out there. I was like, now we've been on the bikes for, at that point, almost 12 hours. I was like, I can't, like, I'm trying, but I kept falling over. So the two people that I was with, they kept like bike hopping, and I was just like walking because I couldn't make it through those sections. And once we got back to out there is dirt. So once we got back to the dirt, I was able to get back on the bike and just go. But by the time we got back to the cars, there was almost no light to be had. None of us had headlights. It was the worst situation I've ever been in. And I was like, running out of water is the worst thing, especially in the desert.
I can't even imagine.
I was like, I can't do this. I was like, I know I've taken desert survival classes, so I know like you can eat cactus and stuff, but when you're in the wash, none of that stuff is there. And you've got like 5 to 8 feet of just sheer up. You can't just like walk over to a cactus. You got to climb up this, get out of the wash, and then find a cactus if you're going to do that. Because then you can find like, the juice from it, and that'll help you. It's got electrolytes and stuff. But if you can't find a cactus, you can't do that. So it was
don't run out of water.
Yeah. So at TKO, I ran out of water out on the hot lap, and thank God for people with water on the sides, because I wouldn't have made it. But I went straight to the U-Suite tent, and I was like, I need a bigger pack. I don't care how much it costs. I was like, just give me a bigger one.
Yeah.
So, and they were really great. They were actually packing up for the night. When I walked over, and I was like, oh, what time are you guys be here in the morning? And they just pulled stuff back out, and they found me the right one. So that was really great of them. Shout out to them for that, because I would have died the next day.
Yeah, it's no joke. I went out for the hot lap, and I've got a bad habit about getting real bad, like dry mouth. And so I always ride with like chewing gum in. And then even then on a race, I really like, it's in that first 5 minutes, my mouth dries up. So even on the hot lap, I wear a Camelback, and everyone's giving me a hard time about it. I was like, well, number one, I need water. Number two, I crash a lot. So it's just another airbag on my back. So if I fall on my back, it's got something back there. So, but no, I definitely drank some water, especially the pro hot lap. It was, I think it was 17 minutes. It took a bit.
It took a bit, he said, to the person who took 3 hours.
Well, we talked about this before we hit record, but I think, I can't remember who, it was Josh Shecker, one of them was talking about a lot of the people who didn't make it out of TKO1 got more riding because it took them, they made the Friday prologue a little longer. So, if you think about it, it kind of worked out that you probably got your money's worth from coming all the way from Arizona. You got some ride time.
Yeah. Oh, and I totally didn't have a problem with it. Like, people were like, so I got done, and I was like super stoked because I didn't make the qualifier at Battle of the Goats. So I didn't make a checkpoint, and that had been my goal, was just to make a checkpoint. So I was like kind of sad, and I didn't get to race. There was a lot of stuff behind that, but yeah, so I didn't get to race the main race. I drove all the way over there and didn't get to. So I was a little sad with myself that I couldn't make it. But so I've been trying really hard, and I told myself I was going to try and do my best. I was going to try and do the hot lap, and I knew you didn't need it to qualify. But like you said, I wanted to have that riding, just get that kind of experience, and maybe, just maybe, build a little bit of confidence for the main race. So that's what I did. And I had so much fun out there. Oh my God. It's stuff that I'm not used to seeing. it's a little scary in some parts. Some of that single track in the beginning when it's like that off camber sort of single track. And I was like, I'm not comfortable with that, but I did it. And I was super stoked about it. And like all the hills that I did, like I did them and it wasn't a big deal. Like it wasn't hard for me. And this is in the hot lap. So the only spot that got me was there was a spot and there's a sign that says danger because you like cut across and you drop into the main road. And I went backwards on that because I just wasn't going fast enough.
You didn't make it up to the road.
I didn't make up to the road. Yeah. I was almost there. And then my bike is lowered with a link. And so the front is a little bit higher right now because I have to get the suspension redone. So I have a bad habit of going back like that. So unfortunately I'm used to it, but that was the only spot that I had major trouble in. But everything else, it was really cool. I had a lot of fun. The logs were not my favorite because I'm not good at it, but I did it and I tried and it was a really good learning experience. And so even if I hadn't done Saturday, for whatever reason, I would have been thrilled with being able to do Friday. So I was totally okay with them making it a little bit more than it was last year. I know not everybody felt that way, but I was like, dude, this is like, I get to be out here. Like, I'm stoked.
Yeah. Well, and they cut out the hardest hill on the hot lap.
Yeah.
And it really, again, it wouldn't have been, it was in our main race and it wasn't anything bad, but again, you have certain people, it would have been a challenge for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember that one. I probably could have done it. Up is not my issue usually. Up is usually fine. It's the downhills that tend to get me. It's just the visual intimidation of steepness, especially if there's a lot of rocks. But I'm working on it. And like I said, I was just stoked. I was absolutely stoked. So anyway, I got done with my hot lap and this guy was just sitting there. I don't know if his girlfriend or wife or whatever. And I came over and the girls that were with me came running, just screaming. And they like, were so excited for me and just like, oh my God, you did it. You did it. Oh my God. And it was like this huge deal. And this dude's just looking at me like, bro, it's just the hot lap. Like what? Yeah. But to me, it was a huge deal. To me, this is my dream coming true. I actually made the hot lap. So, I mean, I know I technically was qualified for Saturday anyway, but in my head, it made me feel like I was worthy to actually ride on Saturday. So, and the fact that I actually was able to ride in the main race, the first race, like that was huge for me. Like I actually was in a hard enduro race. Like before I went to Battle of the Goats and I did part of the qualifier, but I didn't make it into the actual race. So it was a big deal for me. And a lot of people are like, okay, I don't get it. Like you didn't do that great. And I'm like, but for me, I did. Like you got to think about it when you're brand new. And I mean, I've only been doing this for a couple years. You got to imagine a lot of these people started riding when they were 5-6 years old. So imagine they're 7 or 8 years old, essentially, is how much time equivalent, right, that I've been on the bike. And that's who's out there. Like, I'm almost the same size as a 7 or 8 year old. So like, I had one guy who thought I was a teenager and just starting. And I was like, I mean, I'm just starting, but I'm not a teenager. So
hey, you'll take it.
Sure. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's really cool because then there was a guy who was out on Saturday. He was just like, I saw him send his bike twice and he was just like getting mad at himself and like kind of getting an attitude on the trail. And I was like, are you okay? And he was like, no, he's like, I swear I ride better than this. And I was like, who are you trying to impress? Because like, it's not me. Like, it's not the other dude who was with me. Like, I was like, what? You're trying too hard. I was like, you're in your head. Like I could see it on your face. And so I was like, just take a couple deep breaths, like look at what it is that you're trying to hit, find the line. And I was like, no offense, but you're not going for first place here. Like at this point, you're just trying to make it through. Right.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I just came out here to, just try and finish the lap and I want to have fun. And I was like, so do that. Like, stop thinking about it as you need to be in first place because we're the last people. The sweeps are right behind us. I was like, so, and he did it. Like he took a couple deep breaths, and then he was able to get up, and he was just fine. He made sure that I was good, helped me get my bike back on the trail. And, you know, we went through a couple sections together, the three of us, and then he went off, and he was riding really well after that. But you get so in your head sometimes. And I think that mindset is super, super important when it comes to these. So like for me, like I said, I feel like I'm like a little baby rider. You know, I call myself a baby hard enduro bro. Like I'm trying. Max Kirsten, I was talking to Max about it, and he was like, "You're like a baby lady burro," and I was like, "Yeah, exactly."
Yeah.
But mindset's been huge for me, and so I wanted to ask you, like, how do you stay calm on the trail? Like, if you run into a section that you're having problems in, like, is there anything you do, or like, do you let yourself get frustrated, or like, how do you make it through something like that?
I'm usually pretty calm. And even I think about it more on trail rides, and it's like, we're fortunate I get to ride during the week. Some I got a pretty flexible job, and like we've got some guys we ride with that like lose their mind, throw stuff, yell, scream, frustrated. And I kind of look back and like, I'm not working. My phone's on, so technically I'm working, but we're out here riding our dirt bike. We're supposed to be having fun, like you said. Tell that guy, hey, man, we're not winning. We're out here like we're getting to do something awesome. And so I've had a couple frustrating times. Usually at races, it's more just take a deep breath. Hey, we got to get through this. You know, get on to the next thing. But I guess fortunately, usually things stay pretty positive in my mind, and I don't get real upset and real frustrated and throw things. And, you know, I've seen a few guys hold the bike wide open, dump the clutch, and send it down the hill. And I'm like, well, now you just lost everything you did, you know?
Yeah.
So it's more of one of those, like, I have to laugh at myself. That's honestly, if I'm laughing, we're having fun. And, you know, I'm laughing like, why are you pissed off? You know, this isn't life or death. It's our dirt bike. So like I said, normally I'm pretty positive on most things. So just, again, we're out here to have fun. That's why we're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was struggling. Obviously everyone saw it. Everyone heard it. My poor bike. But my thing is that I always say I do hard things for fun, because I do, you know, I do long ass runs where I'm running, you know, 10 to 20 miles or whatever. I do that, and I think it's fun. I am trying to do hard enduro now, and I think it's fun. But when I'm out in those situations, I tell myself that because, like, I can't get mad. Like, I put myself out here. I
signed up for this. Like, go quit if you're going to be pissed off.
Exactly. Like, I paid to be here. Like, I knew this is hard enduro. It is not easy. It is gonna be a challenge, and that's why we like it, right? So personally, I don't understand why people get like that crazy, and they get like, I've seen people throw tantrums on the trail, trail riding. And I'm like,
we got them.
Why? Like, I don't understand. Like, we're supposed to be having fun.
The worst thing about this TKO is we already talked about it. Max Beaupre, our little friend who rides a Suron, or I don't know, we'll see how much longer he's on Suron. Anyway, he's high vibes. Like, whenever we go out, he's always screaming. Him and I are giving each other a hard time. Well, he wasn't in TKO too, because they just raced the morning race. So he was at like every spot on the course for TKO2 for us. And he's loud. Him and his dad both were just cheering and yelling for me. Well, the first 6.5 miles of TKO2, I had like the worst arm pump. I couldn't ride. I was just like, so I would come into section, and one of them that was like the main one is down uphill swamp. We did a U-turn and went up the Jeep road next to it. And everyone's down there, and I could hear Max as I'm coming down yelling, and I just couldn't do anything. Like, my hands, so I'm in first gear, just doggy paddling up this. And in my head, I was just so embarrassed. I'm like, they're yelling for me, cheering. Everyone knows they're cheering for me, and I look this bad. Like, I'm disrespecting them for cheering for me. I was like, I'm just embarrassed. And so, like, then really right at the top of that, it was like, oh, my arm's unlocked. I can ride. And so then when I saw him the second half of the course, I'm like, okay, I look like I know what I'm doing. I can ride a dirt bike again. So, but that was probably the low point of my TKO weekend, was like, I would come into a section, if they're all yelling for me, and I was going the speed I could go. Like, that was all I had, and I just had to get through it. So once the arm pump went away, and if you haven't experienced it, it's a real thing.
Max is such a character. Oh my God. I can only imagine like him yelling for you. Like
it's
he's like a loud guy, but like in a good way though. Like
no,
he's
100%. Yep.
totally, when he told me where he was from, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. Like
Well, and he's from Massachusetts, but he's not a masshole. Like he's super
Yeah.
nice, and he's one of the few people that we could just banter back and forth, and like I finally said something I thought crossed the line, and I'm like, Max, did I cross the line? And he's like, no, dude, that's hilarious. So I'm like, all right, we're good. And so he's just, as one of my good friends, Jarrett Moan, he's like, we like to have high vibes on the ride. Like, you know, you got certain people who bring a ride down, you got certain people who bring a ride up, just based on how their day's going. Max is always a 10 on the vibe scale, so he keeps things fun and happy.
That's really cool. Yeah, I walked over. He was talking to my friend, and I walked over and I kind of joined their conversation for a minute. That was the plan. And then all of a sudden, he and I are talking, and it's like 30, 40 minutes goes by. And I was like, whoa.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, but like you said, he's high vibes. He's positive. He's really great. We talked about being small and everything, and like me struggling on my bike, and it was really cool. He's just so down to earth and such a nice guy. But that vibe, like he just radiates that positivity and like that fun. Like you could just tell like he's enjoying life. So I really like that.
He's always legitimately happy when you do something good. Like we'll be out on a ride, and every time if he sees me do something like cool, he's yelling and screaming like that was awesome. So it's like your own little, like, I'll do something and I'll be like, that was awesome, like a little trousy move. And he's back there, like he saw it, he's screaming, and we're both screaming at this point. So it's just cool to have. It's like your own cheerleader out there. So
yeah, that's the guys that I ride with in California. Cody's not really an outgoing, like gonna scream for me kind of guy. He's very like serious. But when I've done a couple hill climbs and stuff, like my buddy Mitch, we went somewhere a few months ago, and I did this hill climb that scared the crap out of me. And then coming back down it, because it's all sandy. And so like my rear is going like this, and they know that I am not good at downhills. And I made it down. The fact that I made it up was incredible. This thing is called the Widowmaker. And so I was like, all right, I made it up, made it back down. And Mitch is like, yeah, dude, that was awesome. It's kind of like Max. Mitch just has like this really good positive energy around me. And he's always like egging me on to do stuff that he thinks that I could actually do. He's not going to go tell me to do some crazy splat off a cliff or something. Yeah. He's never going to do that. But he gets loud and he gets excited, and I definitely understand that energy where you're just like, yes, this is awesome. You have your own little cheering squad kind of. But when Cody says something like same time, Cody was like, yeah, good job. And like, he's very quiet, but that's how he is, you know, and he's just like, he doesn't dole out a whole lot of compliments. So whenever he does, I'm like, all right, cool. That's like Cody's cheering for me. But it's so cool to have that positivity. And especially at my level, when I'm doing something that scares the crap out of me, you know, a lot of times it's stuff that these guys can do in their sleep, but they're still cheering for me to do it. And like, they're excited for me when I overcome something. So I think that's really cool, because a lot of times when you are at a higher level, you forget how scary those little things can be. And like, even if it's just visually scary, and it takes me a little bit, like one time on the single track area, like you had to kind of like bank it and ride the wall just a little bit. And I was like, I've never done this before. Like, I can't do it. And there's like a 10-foot drop into nothing. And like, I was like, I don't know if I could do this. I froze. And that was the closest I've ever come to crying on the trail. And then Cody like comes around and he's just like, I just did it. And he just like comes right next to me on the single track, and he goes, you're gonna be fine. And Mitch is like, just pretend like it's flat. Like, just come on. And I was like, that is not flat, but okay. But I was able to do it, and they were both super stoked for me. But to them, it's nothing. To them, it is flat, and it's just normal. It's whatever. But I was like so focused on the fall. I was like, I'm going to die, you guys. But no, they make it.
It's good to have people like that in your corner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
for sure.
I've gotten really lucky to have a lot of people like that, and I started out my riding. I had a lot of people who were very negative, and who, like, the first time ever riding told me, like, you're never going to be good at this. I hope you know that. Like, you're never going to race. You're never going to get off the TTR. So just get that out of your head. And I was like, this is my first time ever on a bike. Like,
why would you tell anybody? Why would you ever tell anybody that?
Yeah. And so I was like, it was very negative. I wasn't progressing fast enough. I was riding maybe once a year and,
Yeah.
or, you know, maybe twice a year, but for like an hour each time. And so it wasn't very much at all. And I didn't grow up riding bicycles or BMX or anything like that. Like, I rode bicycles, but not often. And, you know, I didn't have hardly any sense of balance. So it was crazy to me that I started to find people who were supportive and that are like this, that cheer for you, even when you're at different levels. And I cheer like crazy for those guys. They do stuff like, and it's insane. And I'm like, oh my God, like that was so cool. I think that's part of the reason I keep getting invited, because I make them feel like they're rock stars. But I mean, it's awesome to see the things that they do. And to see the level that I can get to and the stuff that I can ride, you know, if I keep doing this, you know, in a year or whatever, I can do this stuff too. So,
well, and that's honestly, I can't remember who we were talking. I was talking to someone, and it was like on the wakeboarding side, like I was as good as I was ever going to get. Like I wasn't progressing anymore, and it was just like kind of status quo. And with the hard enduro and dirt bikes, it's like still getting better, and there's still the challenge. And it's like, I think Ashburn and I were talking. He's like, when are we ever going to do, like, when's it going to be too much and too hard? And I'm like, well, I don't know. It's like, it's because we just basically, a lot of our trail rides end up being, we just go out and get lost in the woods and see if we can find our way out of what we get into. And that's the whole like beauty of it. I mean, it's just, you're not on a trail. You're just going exploring and getting lost in the woods. And that makes it a lot of fun. And, you know, again, it's still getting better. And there's still, like you said, where you've got so much room to grow and improvement. And every time you ride, you're probably making little improvements. So it's addicting, and it's so much fun for me anyway. So as long as the body holds up, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah. I think that, like, it's crazy that the level of what the top is now, it's so much higher. And I feel like the guys are just pushing it and pushing it. I mean, I think Hard Enduro Bros did a really good job of highlighting that, of what these guys are capable of on a bike. And it is scary to watch, but it is really cool. I've seen a couple of those places in real life, and I'm like, how the hell? Like,
if it looks scary on a video, which they do a great job of illustrating it, and I think it's the best representation of what these guys are capable of. You get all of them together and then see them push each other, because that's how it is when you go ride with them. They just, like, one guy does it, then the other guy, and then a little more and a little more. And I'm super excited and happy that they're doing that. So it's been awesome to see what Blake's done with it.
Yeah, definitely. I exactly what you said is what I've said before, that, like, if it looks scary on film or it looks huge on film, like, it's insane in real life. And like I said, I've gone to a couple of those spots, and I'm like, you guys, like, this is, whoa. So yeah, it's insane. But like, I can't imagine all those guys being together. But that's one of the really cool things about this sport too, is I always say it's our community. Our community is absolutely amazing, because you have people who are out there giving their competitors' kids water, or, like, you know, like, whatever, like, everybody's helping each other all the time. And there's a few bad eggs in every community, but, you know, 99.9% of the hard enduro community is supportive and just absolutely amazing. And the guys that are at the top level in this sport all across the world are all really humble guys. And it's really, really cool. Like we talked about, I was so scared to talk to Ryder LeBlond, because I was just like, I was like, dude, he's so serious. Like, he's so top, which is really weird, because everybody's scared of Tristan, and I wasn't scared of Tristan for some reason. I don't know why. He never bothered me, but Ryder and Danny scared me. They're not like scared, but I guess I was a little intimidated. They just seem really serious.
Yeah. Well, and I like I said, I think Ryder's just quiet, and so a lot of people take that as like, oh, I'm serious, you don't want to say anything, but like, they're all good dudes. Even
Yeah.
and then even kind of getting to know Manny and Billy over the last few years. Like Max was interviewing Billy in the water bath, and I just got done getting a nice little interview with him, and he's just sitting there, got a Coors Light empty can floating around. He's just sitting there in his underwear,
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
super
he's
awesome.
super nice. I met both of them at TKO, and I had been trying to get in contact with Manny, and we kept missing each other. So we actually finally got to meet at TKO, and that was really cool. He remembered who I was, and so it was like a starstruck moment, but kind of not. Like I've been watching this dude ride since he was 16, so like it was kind of weird, but I feel like I've watched like my friend's kid grow up or something, and I was just like, dude, I'm super proud of you. I was like, I've been watching you forever, and he was just like, oh, okay. But super, super nice guy. And Billy was the same way. I was telling Billy that I absolutely adore his wife. I follow her. She's little like me. So like she's always talking about like, oh, I'm too short for this. And I'm like, hey, me too. That's my life. So it was super funny. But both of them asked me about my race, and Billy was just like, you raced? And he's like, you're so tiny. And I was like, yeah, I attempted.
Yeah.
So,
I did
but
what I could
super nice. Yeah, super nice, super encouraging. And that's not something you get in every discipline. I have been around other disciplines, supercross, motocross, all that stuff, and it's not always the same. A lot of those guys you don't get access to, and Cody Webb made a good point. There's a numbers game to that. You know, you've got 20,000 fans you have to see. You don't really get to sit there and talk to people. But it's also like a lot more serious. Like they have less time to be doing anything other than that race that night. So
yeah, they're way more focused.
Yeah. Focus is a good word for it. I like that. So you talked about arm pump for your race. Is that something that happens a lot for you?
Only at races. And it was funny. I had this talk with someone like, you're supposed to train like you race or how you want to race, duplicate your racing. Well, how our training is not at all like we race. Like we leave the truck, we cruise out, get to some hard stuff and try to climb some hills or do some sections. And we did. Will Reardon was in town, I don't know, 2-3 weeks before TKO. And he's like, I need to do a 40-minute moto. And so he shows up at 12:30 because he drives over. He's got a 4.5-hour drive. Shows up at 12:30. It's 90. It was like one of the hottest days we've had, like 98 degrees. We go straight to a creek called Jeremy's Creek. It's like a 1.5-mile loop. Takes me 15 to 18 minutes to do a lap. He could do like a 10-minute lap. So it's basically just literally on a Jeep trail. You start up a creek, do some single track, back around, and repeat. So we literally straight up the Jeep road, get there, start the stopwatch, and go for 40 minutes. And it was hell. Yeah. Arm pump, hated it. I wanted to die. Like I took my normally I don't take clothes off when I'm riding. I jersey off, chest protector off, laying in the creek, and there was 3 of us, Will, myself, and a buddy Sean. And I was like, if this is what dirt biking is and hard enduro is, I don't want to do this anymore. And so back to the question you ask is, I think if I wanted to get rid of arm pump, I needed to do some hair scrambles, do some, do more high intensity right off the rip, drop the flag and go. And that's usually what gets me, especially TKO. We went through the rocks, went out into that creek field. And if I can have 8 to 10 minutes without arm pump, I'm usually good. But when I clam up right off the start, like get a good start, someone's on me or make a couple bobbles and tense up real hard, then it sets in. And so I haven't been training in that race pace, basically from, I guess from a 0 heart rate to a full heart rate. And it only affects me really at races. So, shame on me for not training that way, but honestly, it's not fun. So I'll suffer through it.
I was given the advice to go and get my heart rate up before the race started. Go for a run, go ride your bike, whatever you can do to get your heart rate up to like 120 before the race even starts. And I was like, I feel 100%. Like that's so counterintuitive, but if that's what works, then, I'm not a professional rider. So of course I'm not going to tell this person that, that's not going to work for me. But I tried it and I felt a lot better when I started with a high heart rate than like letting my nerves get to me and, freak me out.
Well,
I felt like I was a lot more focused.
Well, and a lot of the problem is, okay, you go get warmed up, you get on the bicycle, you get on the rower, you go do a little practice loop. Well, then they want us in staging 30 minutes before. So then you come in and it drops straight back down. Now, I will say we normally, I don't usually ride alone. And so for some reason, one day, some of the guys couldn't get there till later and I had to leave earlier. So I went and rode like 45 minutes by myself, got a good high heart rate, got everything going, went back to the truck, waited for them to get ready. And then we went. And as soon as we hit the trail, I was like, I am ready. And, normally you're kind of warming up and you're feeling it and you're like, okay, my gloves, but after riding for 45 minutes, I was ready to go from the start. So I think there's definitely something to that, 30 minutes of getting something going and getting your heart rate up.
Yeah, definitely.
And again, it was TKO last year was the same way with the arm pump, and Chase Landers was racing. And he was just wide open everywhere. And I'm like, I literally am on single track in second gear, just because I couldn't hold on. I was so frustrated in my own head. But this year I stopped and did a 10-second, turn the bike off, shake my hands out, count to 10, just anything. And it seems to help. But
that's good. That's good to know too. Cause obviously I'm not at that level yet, but I have aspirations. So it's good to hear these things. So you talked about your training kind of not being the same or what you think it should be, which is also insightful. I do a lot of sessioning, so I don't go out on long trail rides a lot of the times. I'm starting to change that now because Romaniacs is basically a long ass trail ride. Long, scary, hard. 4 days of it. So I got to start doing that. But a lot of what I do is sessioning stuff. And even with the guys, we go to multiple points. They session stuff, I session stuff, and then we go back. It's not long rides usually. Well,
one other thing. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you're good. One thing so I got a trials bike and we've got an area close that's got a lot of trialsy stuff. And I was spending a lot of time on the trials bike. And so then I would go to a race and I'd be so freaking tired, I couldn't even do the trials moves. And so I'm like, I need to spend less time on the trials bike and get in better shape. And so it's kind of like, it's just figuring out what you need. And I'm in probably the best shape I've been in, but I still need to be in better shape. Like when the heart rate, pegs, there was Sunday TKO 1 in the morning. There was 3 or 4 times, took my helmet off. I need a minute. So if I could just not do that and keep moving, but like I said, I had to realize, all right, my trial skills, again, have got me enough to where I could get through most things if I can hold on, but I can't hold on. So I need to get the fitness up there.
Yeah, it's a balance. It's trying to figure it all out. And that's something at my level, I'm trying to do it all right now, right? I've been trying to lose weight because I was sick and I've gained a lot of weight when I was sick. And so trying to lose weight from that, trying to just get fitness in general. It's helped that I was training for an ultra marathon last year. So I've got pretty good endurance. But my strength wasn't there. And so in the last 6 months, I've started added strength training, and that's been a huge, huge help with my fatigue. Every time I have to pick up the bike. Which I do a lot. And that's probably been part of it too, is that I've been riding harder stuff. So I have to pick up the bike more. So that's a strength training in and of itself. It's a 260-pound bike. And I'm a little person. I'm only 135 pounds trying to pick up this bike that's way bigger than me. And I fall on hills a lot and I'm really bad at high siding. So I've had to learn how to maneuver the bike, and I'm getting a lot better at it, being able to maneuver it either to go back down the hill and try again, or to get to a spot where I'm not lifting the bike up the hill. Because when I try and do that, a lot of the times I run out of arm before anything else. I have the strength, I just don't have the arm to push it up. So that gets hard. But I think that finding the balance that works best for you. Some people love high intensity interval training, and some people absolutely loathe cardio and they just will get their cardio on the bike. So everybody's a little bit different, but it's always nice to see the insight of what other people are doing. So as far as all that goes though, one thing that I've noticed personally is when I did start getting arm pump, I had to start adding more electrolytes into my diet. That was just that, and protein. That's helped me a lot. But like, what does your like nutrition look like, especially around like race time?
Scary
question.
Yeah, it's, so I used to cramp quite a bit. And it's funny, I'd never cramped in my entire life. Played high school football, and I would have guys that, you know how it is, football players cramp. Like, you see them holding their hamstring, and I'm like, and one of my buddies, he couldn't walk the next day because he cramped so bad. Never experienced a cramp until I moved to A class at National Enduros. And so we had to ride all 6 tests. So normally we would have ridden 5. So you add a whole nother test. Well, I started cramping on the 6th test at a National Enduro. And it was like, I would sit down and my hamstrings would cramp. And I would freak out, and I'd stand up and my quads would cramp, and I'd freak out and I'd sit down. And so I'd never experienced this before. So that was the start of like trying to figure out what to do. And honestly, still a trial and error. I will say lately I've been using Element. It's like super high in sodium. It's like 1,000 milligrams per 1 packet. And all the training we've been doing, I've been putting that in my Camelback. I had tried some Noon, I tried some Scratch, I tried some other stuff. And so far, that's been the only thing that I can tolerate the taste of and doesn't give me like a bad aftertaste. And this TKO is the first race I haven't cramped in probably 3-4 years. And I don't know if it was all the training before or the Noon, because the only time I've ever cramped like practicing is when it was just Jordan and myself riding. And obviously I'm the anchor and he's making it up everything. So I'm just struggling all the time. And I cramped some riding with him a couple years ago, but really I think that's been the biggest difference. And it was literally just looking at the sodium so I got a little deeper and I started weighing myself before rides and after rides and figuring out actual sweat loss and all that stuff. And so I was looking at what I was using, and I was only getting like 1,000 or 1,200 milligrams of sodium normally through my Camelback. And so with the Noon or the Element, I was putting 3 of them in there. So it's 3,000 milligrams and drank most of the Camelback. So I think that's been the difference. The diet, it's hit or miss. Like at TKO, my wife, we did like grilled chicken, strawberry salad, and like quinoa bowls and stuff like that. But I've seen the pro guys eat like, all week and healthy on the weekend and win. I know a certain guy who's done well at Erzberg that's a North American who apparently ate a huge large pizza the night before and got second. So like, I don't know. I mean, I think it's whatever works for your body, I think.
I think it's really funny to ask this question to people at higher levels of racing, because I personally always thought that athletes were very strict on their diets, and that like as you got higher and higher in performance, you were more and more strict. And that is not the case, I have found out. Both Riley Bender and Cody Webb talked about eating McDonald's. I know I've been with Jarvis, and he just kind of eats whatever he's in the mood for. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be super healthy. He doesn't eat super bad, but it's still not like nobody's watching their macros every single time they eat. It's kind of funny.
Well, and I know, again, I'm fortunate enough to know a lot of the guys and spent quite a bit of time with them. And some of them are super strict and some of them are not. And I think it's what works for them. And that's, spent a lot of time with Jordan Ashburn, and he's GNCC guy. And he goes, man, as I've gotten older, he said, I've tried it all. He said, I don't think it's as important leading up to the race as race weekend and right before the race. Was kind of what he said recently to me. Again, he's in his 30s now. He knows what he needs to do. So, and again, I think it's how your body tolerates it,
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is I talked with Jamie Thomas about going over to Romania, and she wasn't familiar with the food, and it was a very big culture shock for her, but it was also culinary shock. So she wasn't used to it. Like, you don't just go overseas and get eggs and bacon for breakfast. Like, that's not really a thing over there. At least not where I was. In the mornings, it was a lot of like croissants, strudels, stuff like that. And it's a very different kind of food. but is very carb heavy. And that wasn't something I was used to. So I can only imagine trying to race like that. So she talked about, like, if you're going to go over there, take your snacks that you're used to having on the trail. They don't have Cliff Bars and stuff like that. So I think that that's a big thing is don't change anything the week of the race.
No, I'll never try anything new the day. I remember, Tough Like Roar, like 5 years ago. I'd been having cramping problems, and I went to a hammer product called Perpetuum, and never had it in my Camelback before. And I put it in there, and it was like an orange creamsicle, and it left the worst aftertaste in my mouth. And so as soon as you drink some, you're it was horrible. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like, never even tried it in my Camelback before. And so, lesson learned there. So
I've heard about people doing stuff like that, and they like get stomach aches and their stomach goes bad, and like, no.
That's what I'm sure you've seen the video of Billy during Romaniacs puking all over his GoPro. And I've heard it. It's funny because Ryder and I didn't talk about this, but I guess he's been getting sick a lot during races. And the last lap on the main event got sick. And so my wife was like, we should have helped him. We should have talked to him. I was like, he didn't say anything else about it. I don't know. So.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see that when he posted about that, because he hasn't really talked about it. And so it's kind of crazy. Again, at a high level, and you're dealing with something like that, like that's insane to still ride the way that he rides, feeling like that. Like, dude, I was sick this week and I didn't want to do anything. No. I can't imagine trying to race in like even feeling like I was. Like, to feel like that and race at that level is just absolutely insane to me. But I mean, I'm new to all this. This isn't, this hasn't been my life. So it's just crazy. But I feel like a lot of times that those guys, this has been their life for such a long time, and that people forget how far they've come or how well they're doing. And like, I just feel like everyone needs to be reminded, like, dude, you're a high performing hard enduro rider. Like, this is insanely amazing that you got this. I understand everybody wants to get first. Everybody wants to, be that high. Oh, yeah. I get that 100%. I would kill to be on a podium. I did a MotoGP in December, and I was like 6 seconds off of third place. I was so close to getting my first podium ever. Like, I was so stoked just for that. But I think that you get kind of, I mean, it is their job, so I get that, but still, I'm always like telling those guys, I'm like, you guys did awesome. Like, I understand you didn't get the result that you wanted, but like, look at what you did do. And a lot of times, like, I remember talking to Graham last year, and I don't remember what race it was, but it was after he broke his ribs. I want to say it was Romaniacs. And he didn't do very well. He had to pull out of the race on like the third day. And he was really upset about it. And I was like, dude, you have broken ribs. Like, you're not healed yet. Like, for you to do as much as you did, like, that's insane. Like, that's a lot. Most people wouldn't even have started. So to prologue
broken ribs are no joke.
Yeah. And I mean, it was bad. Like, even after, I think it was like the next month he came out here, and he was still having problems. Like, he still was at the clinic, and like, he would grab his side every once in a while. And I'm like, he's still hurting real bad. So by the time he got to TKO, he's still in pain. So it was like, you can't break your ribs like that and just expect to come back immediately, especially, no offense, I love him to death, but he's not young anymore. He's not healing like he used to. So yeah, like, it's, you've got to give yourself time, and he was like, yeah, I'm really tired. And I was like, it's because your body is trying to do all of these things, and it's trying to heal your bones, and you're not giving it any rest. Like, he had 2 clinics in a month, and then between that, he also did the Indonesia race. So all of the travel for all of that, because the clinics were in Maine, New Hampshire, and then down in Tennessee. So like, there was a lot of travel involved. So it was just like, on top of everything else, travel's not easy. You go all over the place,
all that good stuff,
or on a train or on a plane. Like, there are times when he you know, that's what he has to do. So it's just like, dude, that man lives a life that I could not ever. I travel a lot, I do a lot, but I could not do that much. Like, it's insane. He's not human.
No, he is not.
But
Especially if you've seen him ride.
yeah, yeah, he's absolutely insane. He just looks at stuff, and you're just like, what is he gonna do now? He just gets this like gleam in his eye, and you know he's gonna do something insane. So, and it's always really cool to watch. But one thing I really like about him though is that he is not afraid to fail in front of everybody. And like, he'll try something, he'll be like, I didn't make it. It's not a big deal. He doesn't get upset about it. He just, it is what it is. Didn't make it this time. Tried to splat onto his tree stump and it exploded.
God, we were, the first time I really rode with him, we were at TKO, and he was trying some line up Lankin Falls, just in that area. And he would just, he was trying to clean it, no dabbing. And it was just like, he was getting mad because he couldn't just clean it. And I don't want to say mad, he was frustrated. You just hear him cuss under his breath and then start over, and then cuss under his breath. And he finally got it, you know, third or fourth try, but it was pretty cool watching. Like, I did a lot of just watching that. Like, I just wanted to get to wherever he was going and watch him.
That's what I told my buddy. I was trying to keep up at the trail ride that I did with Graham. There was no way I was ever going to keep up. I was so new. But at one point they had all been sitting. They were in the river and they were swimming. And then he got on his bike and he started doing stuff on the bike. And I was like, oh, I finally made it to a point where I can see him do all the crazy stuff. And recently my buddy was out doing stuff, and I was like, I pulled up right as he did something super cool, and I was able to get it on GoPro, but like the video footage from GoPro is never as good as like on your phone. So I was like, all right, my new motivation is that I need to be faster so I can see Cody do more cool stuff. So, and he just laughed. I was like, but I mean, that's how, like I said, I ride with a lot of people who are good and who are fast. And so that has been kind of my motivation all this time, is I want to be at a level where I can go out with these guys and not even do what they do, but just be able to get out to those areas and not struggle and just have fun. I mean, I have fun every time we go out. I feel like they do too. Otherwise they wouldn't keep inviting me, but more fun. You know, we can take the more gnarly areas and explore a little bit more. Like you were saying, like you guys go out and you guys just kind of get lost. Yep. Like that's what they do. I've seen videos of them where all of them are walking their bikes down some really sketchy canyon sections because that's just what they do. Like I want to be able to go out and, you know, feel like I can do that. I feel like I do that a lot, but not to the level that they're doing it.
No, but hey, if it's to your highest level, then you're there.
That's true. That's true. But it's really cool. Like I said, the community as a whole, just feeling like everybody's supportive has been really awesome. I absolutely love it. So I want to credit you and, you know, your podcast and, you know, all the people who are in media doing everything around hard enduro, just kind of making this more accessible and just kind of getting the word out there that hard enduro is not something that you have to be a pro to do. And that's been a huge thing, is that a lot of the women and newer riders that I've run into are like, well, I can't do hard enduro for at least 2 to 3 years because I've got to get these skills before I can do it. And I'm like, okay, bet. Like that's what everybody says now, right? So that was part of why I signed up for Battle of the Goats, because I kind of thought that maybe I could do some of it, but I knew I wasn't quite ready for it. I knew Tyler was going to yell at me the second he saw me sign up, and that's exactly what happened. He was just like, you're not going to do this. He's like, you're going to get your ass handed to you. And I was like, I know, but like, I'm trying to like make a point here. And I did. I made that point, and I was able to convince more people to do TKO and to even just ride hard enduro on trails. There's so many people who say that they were inspired to try because they saw me trying. So I think that's really cool. And I'm okay with looking like a dork. and failing in front of everybody if it means that somebody can realize that they might be good at it or that they could try. So I think it's really important to have this kind of media and to have voices like yours, you and Will, to kind of help get this information out there. You guys talk about the races a lot, but it just makes it accessible. And I think that that's one of the biggest things.
Well, and it's where it came from was usually Monday or Tuesday after a race, or pretty much every week after a weekend ride, we're calling each other, talking about the race, talking about what happened. And I'm like, dude, let's just record this. Like, I started listening to a bunch of podcasts. I'm like, no one's talking about it. And it's something I even talked to Max Gearston about. I'm like, Max, I don't go to any of the West Coast races. I want like an immediate behind the scenes, like what happened? Like, I don't want the Tristan won, Ryder got second, Will got third. I want like, oh, it was gnarly. There was this section and so-and-so was doing it. Like some behind the scenes that makes you feel like you were there. And him and Josh and Ryan recorded one on the way back from TKO to the airport. And I sent them both a message like, that was perfect. I was there, but it was cool to hear it from y'all's perspective and see what you guys saw. So I think it's just getting that information out there. And like you said, most of the top guys I haven't found anyone that's not super open to coming on the podcast. They're all about, because again, the more exposure that we can get the sport, the better it's going to be for all of us, whether it's them making more money, more races, all that stuff. So everyone's been super helpful to grow the sport, come on the podcast, whatever we need.
Yeah, I think it's great. I've had a little bit more of a focus on amateurs, just because I feel like they don't get a lot of exposure, and a lot of them are trying to get sponsorship. And, the thing about sponsorship from my end, and we talked about this a little bit before, is that I don't really know what I'm doing when it comes to sponsorship. I'm not an expert at all, but I believe in being genuine, and being genuine will get you people around you that want to support you. And whether that's a person who's just somebody who's going to give you an encouraging word, or somebody that can offer you money or parts or whatever. And, having a genuine connection, I think, is the most important thing. So getting the story out of what you do and who you are is part of that. And I'm very thankful that the whole reason I started Brap Life was actually based on Makana Barger. Talking to that kid last year and finding out that he, back in Hawaii, was mowing lawns and doing everything he could after school to raise money so that way he could pay for the rental bikes, because at that point he was renting here on the mainland. And I was like, dude, this kid's 15. Like, what 15-year-old works this hard? Like, in this day and age, most kids sit on the couch and watch, TV, or they play video games.
I was going to say they play video games. My son's upstairs doing that right now.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like, I was a gamer, so like I get it, but like most kids are just doing that. They're not trying to do the hardest thing that they can do on a bike. And then on top of that, working hard to just be able to get out here to beat yourself up. Like, that's huge. And that was inspiring to me. And so I started talking about it at the next couple races that I went to. And people were like, yeah, I don't even know who that kid is. And I'm like, dude, he's good. Like, well, what are you talking about? So then people started paying attention to him. And so I was like, what? Okay, I found out about Matt Adams, and he wasn't racing last year because he was going through all the cancer stuff, and it was like really hard. So I was like, nobody knew what was going on with him. So it's like, dude, like all of these people have a story. Everybody has something that could inspire the person next to them. Like, why are we not talking about this? And that's been the biggest thing. It's to grow the sport. It's to give inspiration. And I think it's just been really cool to see how well received it's been. And people outside of the community are the reason that I've been able to help in the community. We've had donations, people offering to just donate money. Like, oh, let me donate so I can help, pick whoever you want and pay for them to go to a race, or pay for their parts. Awesome. Or like, it's insane, but you're never going to get anything like that if you don't put it out there. So, there's amazing, generous people who just want to help. And so I think it's really cool that I've been able to kind of create that bridge. But I love what, like, every podcast that we have that is related to hard enduro, like yours and Max's, like, they're all a little bit different. and we've all had similar people on, but they all tell a different story, because you guys are a little bit more focused on like, you know, you guys are more technical about like the riding, the racing, all of that stuff. Max is a little bit behind the scenes, but he's more in the industry and can speak to, you know, behind the scenes racing and all of that. And I'm just more about
or he can't speak to what's really going on.
Or yeah. And me, it's just like telling stories, telling, you know, just getting that connection. And I think all of us together are getting the word out there together. It's like a united front, because I had somebody, I mentioned that you were going to come on here, and they're like, but he's on a different podcast. Like, why would you have him on there? It's like, because it's all about like moving the sport forward. Like, I love your podcast. So I was like, I'm stoked to have him on. I've actually had you on the list since the very beginning. And I was so scared to ask you, because I was like, I kind of was like that in the beginning. I was like, oh man, he's got his own, like, he's not going to want to come on my little baby podcast. And then, but then I've started to like kind of get to know you over the last year. So I was just like, all right, I'm probably just going to ask him. So
no, it's, hey, whatever. Again, we're all in this together. Yeah. Again, it's for Hard Enduro and to help grow the sport. And, you know, newsflash, I don't know, you probably know this, but we've had a decline in attendance the last 2 years in the B and C category. So what are we doing? We're trying to make the B and C categories, and I don't want to say we, but the U.S. Hard Enduro guys realize this, and they're trying to make the B and C courses a little more beginner friendly, so that you show up and you can make a check and you can make a lap and you can finish a race. And so again, I love the pros. They don't pay the bills. It's the A, B, and C riders that literally keep the lights on. And that's who we need more of. And it seems like we've got a ton of guys getting better, like Creed Kissling, for example. You know, he made the freaking final this year. And like 4 years ago, he was like barely making Saturday afternoon or Sunday. So he put it all on his story. But like, we've got a lot of guys who've progressed through there, but we also, we need new people coming in, and we need those new people to stay around and want to come back and race more. Don't want them to show up, get their ass kicked, and never come back. Or fill in welcome. And I think the checkpoints is a huge advantage, because that way you can see your progress. Like, unfortunately for you, Battle of the Goats qualifier, you didn't make it to the first check. Well, you know, a lot of these guys don't make a lap, but if they can make a check or two, they can at least see what they did against their buddy. And it'll put them in the record books as being there, and it's not a DNF. Not a DNF. Or DNF.
Yeah, that was the one thing that we were a little bit disappointed that the amateur women's class, nobody finished on Saturday. So nobody was on the podium. So
and he didn't get even a ranking.
Exactly. So that really sucked.
Because they didn't. Did they have checkpoints? I don't think they had checkpoints.
They did not. And that was why. So if they had checkpoints, we would have at least been able to get that. But because there wasn't any, they had like sections. There was like 3 sections, and I made it almost completely through the first section, I was told. But there weren't like true checkpoints. And I was like, if you're going to mark out sections, just put a checkpoint there. Like, well,
I mean, it has to do with scoring and all that.
I know, but it's just
my language is going off the deep end. I'll keep it.
No, it's fine. But yeah, it just kind of sucked. And like, I know that Lexi, she's 15, she's from Wisconsin. She was kicking butt out there. She would have won, and you know, she didn't get anything. Yeah, so that kind of sucks. But she was really close to finishing, but. You know,
well, the way they did the layout this year. Well, and the way they did the layout this year, when we, you know, went out off the start, came back right behind the cabins, boom, there's a checkpoint. It's close. But again, at a checkpoint, you got to have somebody there, even if they had manually scored it. But anyway, so that's unfortunate. I hate to hear that.
There's logistics. I understand that, but it's like, you know, she came from Wisconsin. I came from Arizona. There was a girl there from Vegas. So, Iceland. You know, Iceland. So it's just like, Michigan. It's like not everybody's from right there. So it'd just be nice to have that kind of, you know, just be able to say it. I mean, we know where we stacked up based on timing and whatever.
Did you guys make it to downhill swamp or uphill swamp? Did you make it that far?
I did not.
Okay. I was just wondering, like, okay, in the future, hey guys, let's put a checkpoint halfway. Let's put a checkpoint quarter of the way. Let's just try to get something for this exact situation in the future to tell Sean and Eric.
Yeah. No, I made it about a third of the way. Okay. And I know that Tata did too. Anita's mom made it to about a quarter or a third of the way as well. Okay. So, and then I think the next person made it almost halfway. So yeah, a halfway point checkpoint would probably be good. Then at least those top girls could have gotten something, you know. But again, it's really hard to put on an event, and you have a lot of different factors to it. So like, I get it, but it is that kind of motivation and to kind of rank yourself year to year, like you said. I know where I made it this year, and I know where I'm hoping to make it to next year. And you know, I've been to TKO twice now, so I've seen the course twice, and so I have an idea. Being there as a spectator versus being there as a rider is different, but now I've seen it, and I've got a good idea of what I need to do. And I mean, look at the progression I made in this past year. So by next year, where am I going to be? You know, especially
the only problem is they run it backwards each year, so it'll be counterclockwise. So it won't be that same point. But I see.
No, it won't. But yeah. But I have an idea of like how far I can make it. Yeah. So I'll have seen the track go that way one year, and then the other.
Oh, okay. So
I'm going to go back. So yeah. So like, I think I've got a decent idea of where I can make it to next year, but I mean, you never know until you get there. So a year is a long ways away, and I've got a lot of training, and I've got really good people behind me. And I think honestly, in this last 6 months since I've been riding with these boys in Cali, I've made a lot of progress. I hadn't really, I tried chicken fight at Brushy in October after the hurricane. And that was the first time I rode like a true hard enduro section. And then I didn't ride anything else again until February when I met these guys. And they just took me to a creek, and they're like, go for it. And they're like doing laps in the creek section. And I was like, I don't know what to do, but okay. Like, and I tried. So that was the very first time that I really was like in it and like trying to, you know, there's no lines in it. It's a creek that nobody had really gone through. So it was like true hard enduro, trying to just make your way through. And that was the very first time, was February. So from February to now, I feel like I've made a lot of progress. I couldn't even get 20 feet in without falling like 50 times, you know, in February. And then April, I had my failing at Battle of the Goats. And then, you know, but I feel like I've put in a lot of work, and I've really progressed, and it's not to amazing levels yet, but it's gonna get there. And I'm just trying to motivate more people to keep going and keep pushing the same as I am. And people keep saying it's inspiring. They keep saying that they're trying this and trying that because of me. So that's really cool. I didn't really start this all to be inspiring. I started it to help grow the sport, but not inspiring through my story, but it apparently is. And that's been really cool. You signed some guy's cast at TKO, I think.
This year?
Right? Yeah.
Not this year. Maybe?
Not this year?
I think
you did.
Okay, maybe I did.
It looked like your signature.
Okay.
Anyway, it looked like your signature, so I thought it was you. And then there was Rachel Gudish, and then he had Manny Lettenbichler, and then he asked me to sign his cast, and I was like, "Excuse me?" And I was like, "Do you know who I am?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I watched you out there." He's like, "It was really cool. I've never seen anybody push that hard." And I was like, "Okay."
Heck yeah, let's go.
And yeah, so he had me sign it. I was like, this is weird. But it was kind of cool. Like, it made me feel cool that, like, I mean, I worked my butt off on that hot lap.
Yeah, 3 hours. That sounds like it.
Yeah, with fumes in my face because of my amazing exhaust. So I think that was the hardest part, was having those fumes like straight come into my face and like like my eyes were watering and they were stinging, and I was like, I don't know what I'm breathing in right now. So like, I work in the medical field, so I'm always like, I wonder what's gonna be in my lungs after this. Like,
Yeah, I can't think about that stuff. Just
oh,
keep
it
going.
is.
You just got to move faster.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
it's got some wind.
Me and fast are not good friends
Yeah.
yet.
Fair enough.
I'm working on it. But yeah, awesome. Well, I really appreciate you taking this time. The
welcome.
last thing I have for you is, do you have any shout outs or thank yous that you want to do?
Oh my gosh. The entire hard enduro community. It's been awesome. Like when we started American Hard Enduro, I think it was 2016 or 2017, didn't know anybody. Had a meeting at TKO, and Cody Webb and Nick Farringer looked at Will and I and said, we need a series and you two are going to run it. And Will and I looked at each other like, excuse me, what are we talking about here? But from there we ran the series 1 year. And then luckily Matt and them, there was some changeover, but US Hard Enduro came along. And so they've done an awesome job. So big shout out to them. Shout out to my wife, Leah, for putting up with this and supporting it, and the kids and everyone who's bought a t-shirt, because we had a long, I don't want to say battle, but we had a certain gentleman who worked with the AMA who said all we did and all we were good for was selling t-shirts, because at one of the TKOs we sold like 1 million. Everywhere you looked, everyone had a shirt on. And he basically just said, all we do is sell t-shirts. So,
oh my God.
But Phil, thank you everyone who's bought a t-shirt, because it just went back into getting us to the races and podcasts and all that stuff. So, but no, just a big thank you to everyone who's supported us and who comes to the races and does the races. That's really what it's all about.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any big plans for next year?
This year's not over yet. Well, I just found out.
That's true.
So Quinn's race is next. I'm going to that one. It's not locked and loaded. What's it called? Oh, something like that. The one he's got a new venue. It's in Wellsville, Ohio. But it's not
Hollow Point.
Yes.
Yeah.
I knew it was something with guns. And so looking forward to that race. Quinn actually puts on an amazing race every time. He's, again, he knows what the guys can do and that level. And so he really does a good job putting on a race. So I'm excited to do that one. I'm bummed it's like 8.5 hours away. But then I found out I was going to do the race at the end of September at Wildwood Lake Raceway. I just found out my cousin's having an engagement party, so I won't be there. So really Quinn's race, I think, will be the last one. And then kind of wait and see for next year. Wait and see what the schedule is. I think there's going to be some shakeups coming to the whole hard enduro world. So we'll see where everything shakes out. Again, if Silver Kings is a world round, I'd love to come do that and watch it, see everybody. Hopefully go to Page again. We'll see if Jim will have me out. And the only problem is with my daughter's soccer schedule, my son's swim schedule, and life and work, it, as you know, gets a little busy. So hopefully next year, just hit all the East Coast stuff and maybe a few of the West Coast rounds.
It'd be awesome. Awesome to see you out there. I'm hoping to be back East Coast by spring next year. So hopefully we'll see how things work out. But so I plan on being at most of the races again, at least to spectate and do media. So you'll keep seeing me. All
right.
And keep having these fun conversations occasionally, I'm sure. So thank you again for this.
You're welcome.
Super awesome. Like I said, for me, it's like a dream come true, because it's like meeting celebrities. Like who gets to do a podcast with their podcast hero? Like this is freaking awesome.
Thank you. That means a lot. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Have a good day.
Bye.